This is the Amaxinno 1303 motor, the toothpick motor that I specifically developed with Amaxinno for this TP3, for the TP3 build, very specially for the TP3 build. Now, this particular motor is very carefully put together. All aspects of the motor have been very delicately specified. It is a very similar construction to the Amaxinno 1103, which in my opinion is still one of the best 1103 motors, not only because it's one of the most durable, it performs really well, and it is surprisingly efficient for what it is. Now, this motor uses the same magnets off that motor, and they are not the strongest magnets, and that's the first thing I'm going to point out. They're not the strongest magnets on purpose. Micro builds are super duper sensitive to everything. Everything. And so we don't need extra noise coming back from the motors. Having strong magnets on a motor are beneficial in some ways, but not a whole lot of ways. But having magnets that don't cause a lot of noise makes the whole thing a whole lot more usable. The difference is that the slightly stronger magnets, they do give you a tiny bit more power and can be slightly more efficient. But these are differences that you're really not going to feel in the real world. I have tested them side by side, and not like I'm the best tester or the most sensitive or anything, but I haven't been able to tell the difference between motors of this size or this particular motor built to a higher spec versus this spec. And I've gone with this spec because, number one, it was cheaper to make, and number two, it performs more consistently across multiple quads. Now, this motor with these cut short wires that you're seeing here, which is the wire length, it's actually excessive wire length for the TP3 frame. It is 5.8 grams, and that's a very, very nice weight. I recommend motors that are around 6 grams for this build. The 1303 size is, again, very, very specific to the TP3 and very specific to this particular prop as well, and very lightweight, low load props. Now, this isn't the only low load 3-inch prop, but it is the only one at the moment that has a 2mm center press fit shaft, and this is a 2mm shaft. You probably noticed that it's a beefy looking shaft. So 2mm all the way through the frame, through the motor, all the way through the stators, 2mm, and that is because I was shearing 1.5mm prop shafts left and right on this toothpick style, on this TP3 style build, because it is much faster, much more powerful, and so I went up to 2mm to try and remedy that and keep the press fit, because I just hate screwing those prop screws on. They're so annoying, take so much time and effort, and add weight to the end of the arms, which totally kill your performance. The press fit on these motors is really, really strong. It's incredibly unlikely for you to spin a prop off or even lose a prop in a crash. However, I have lost exactly one prop in one crash on these 2mm shafts. And to put the 2mm in perspective, for I think the first year and a half, 2 years of FPV, we were running 2207s, no, not even 2207s, 2205s with 3mm shafts on 5-inch quads that weighed 600 to 750, 800 grams, and those unhardened steel solid 3mm shafts were holding up pretty well. Then when, now I forget the company's name totally, which is really sad. Oh, wow, I really forgot the company's name. Anyways, one company came out with a hardened steel shaft, 3mm solid shaft, and those no longer bent. So this is a hardened 2mm shaft intended for an all-up weight of around 100 grams, so it should hold up impressively well with the load that we're putting on it and the punishment that it's going to take. And I really do hope it holds up. I haven't been able to break one yet, but I'm sure somebody's going to be able to break one at some point. Now, one thing you might want to do is drill out some props, specifically the HQ 3x2 prop to be used on this shaft. I would not recommend that specifically with the HQ 3x2 prop, because this particular plastic is not really good for drilling out. You can't drill it out centered. Just don't even try. It's not worth it. These GemFan 3018 props, they perform very similarly. I actually prefer the GemFan prop because it's a little bit lower load than the HQ 3x2. But there will be more props. The HQ is going to make the 3x2 in a 2mm press fit center shaft as well. One of the few props that I actually do like, and is a prop that you can drill out, is the HQ 2.5 by 2.5 by 3. And this drills out the plastic is somehow different. It drills out really nicely, and it seems to work out really nicely on the motor. The 1303 size is particularly nice. I'll get to that in a second. The bottom you can see is the 9mm diameter 4-hole M2 mount, standard mounting, and the wires coming off it are 28 gauge. There's also a lip under the magnet ring so that the magnets don't slip, even though that's not really a problem anymore, but they don't slip. The windings are multi-stranded, believe it or not, but they look a lot like single-stranded windings. They are fine. They hold up to temperature totally fine. The motor is just very, very carefully engineered in all senses. The ribs on the side are designed to keep the magnets a little bit cooler. The manufacturer tells me that the ribs actually do help quite a bit. I don't know if that's true, but hey, whatever, I'll take it. And let's talk about props. So this is a 1303 motor, and compared to the 1204, which is the only option, the only other option that's really good at the moment, it is more powerful. It's a 4800 kV motor. It's designed for 3S. Works great on 2S with a 3-inch prop if you're going for a lower weight and easier quad to fly. That's really for a beginner. These motors are very durable. Unless you're going 100 miles per hour into something, nothing's going to survive that. But these motors are actually very durable. If you run them on 2S with the 3-inch prop, they work out really nicely, and it is really hard to break these motors. Compared to the 1204 motor, this motor definitely has slightly, just a touch better control. It's going to be really hard to tell them apart unless you fly them side by side. It's about the same efficiency as the 1204 5000 kV as well. Might be just a touch more efficient. It really depends heavily on how you fly the quad. I personally prefer this motor, but the 1204 motor is also fantastic. Both of these motors are spectacular motors on this prop with the roughly 100 gram all-up weight. And just build it to that spec and keep it light, and you're going to be really impressed with the performance of this thing on 3S. That's enough talking about this motor. Let's move on to other things. Take care. Floss your teeth. Bye.